Dorothy Chen was prepared to relinquish her independence at the age of 67. With rooms she couldn't enter, boxes blocking corridors, and a daughter pleading with her to move into assisted living, her own house had turned into a prison of memories. Dorothy told me, "I felt like a stranger in my own house," as she sobbed. But when she learned 3 decluttering guidelines that experts advise against breaking, everything changed. Not only did Dorothy renovate her house in 30 days, but she also regained her life. Everything you've been taught about decluttering after 60 is contradicted by what she discovered. I have something that could rescue your independence. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by decades worth of possessions and think there's no way out, click like now. And if you're prepared to finally take charge of your space, subscribe. Dorothy's tale demonstrates that there is always time to start afresh. The harsh reality that no one discusses is that conventional decluttering tips were created by minimalists in their 30s who have never experienced what you are. They advise you to take your time and start small with rubbish drawers. However, they have never had to go through the memories of 40 years of marriage, make decisions about the departed spouse's possessions, or figure out how to condense a lifetime of accomplishments into a smaller area. Marie Kondo never had to decide between her mother's china and her children's baby clothing. Every object in your home has a story, a memory, or a piece of your identity that these so-called experts are unaware of. Because of this, their standardized approaches leave you feeling even more overwhelmed than before. Dorothy first attempted the conventional method, which kept her house dangerously messy for months as she moved drawer after drawer. "I felt like I was rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic," she stated. The soft techniques weren't only failing, they were trapping her. Dorothy then made a revolutionary discovery: 3 guidelines that every decluttering expert advises against breaking. And everything changed when she broke them. Are you prepared to discover information that experts would want you not to know? First prohibited rule. Dorothy violated the first rule. Never begin with sentimental objects. This is what every decluttering expert says. Start with trash, they advise, referring to outdated publications and expired goods. What people don't realize, though, is that everything feels nostalgic when you're over 60. Dorothy did the exact opposite, proving them wrong. She entered the workshop of her late husband, Frank, which had been unoccupied for 2 years after his death. "Everyone told me to save it for last," recalled Dorothy, "but I realized it was the room controlling my entire house." The reason the emotional first strategy is effective is that everything else becomes manageable after you address your most difficult emotional issue first. It's similar like tearing off the largest bandage. The lesser ones stop hurting all of a sudden. I refer to Dorothy's approach as the memory box method. This is precisely how it operates. Step 1. Pick 5 objects that best represent the individual. Dorothy selected Frank's coffee mug, his reading glasses, his favorite hammer, a love note he had left in his toolbox, and a picture of them dancing. Step 2. Take pictures of 20 sentimental objects before discarding them. In order to create a digital memory book that she could access at any time, Dorothy photographed his complete tool collection. Step 3. Locate residences with a purpose for the remaining ones. Dorothy gave Frank's tools to a nearby high school shop class, rather than letting them collect dust. Knowing that his tools are educating young people would make Frank very happy. When Dorothy saw that love letter, she realized it was the turning point. "Clean up after yourself, sweetheart." "I adore you, Frank." For the first time in months, she laughed. Even from his workshop, he continued to care for her. Dorothy turned the workshop into a light-filled reading nook in just 4 hours. More significantly, though, she had reconciled her loss. "I kept his memory but released his stuff," she replied. Has your most emotional space been something you've been avoiding? If you have a room that you haven't been able to face, leave a heart in the comments. You underestimate your bravery. Prohibited rule number 2. Dorothy broke, which was to avoid decluttering all at once. The slow method is advocated by all experts. 1 drawer here, 15 minutes there. However, Dorothy found that seniors are actually permanently bound by this incremental approach. The fact is that slow progress feels like no progress when decades of build-up are involved. You organize 1 wardrobe for 3 weeks, but the rest of your house is still too much to handle. It's like attempting to use a teaspoon to empty an ocean. Dorothy showed me how to change a whole room in 4 hours using what she calls the lightning strike method. I needed to see dramatic change to believe change was possible, she said. The psychology is strong. Your mindset changes from "this is impossible" to "I can do this" when you see a single room totally changed. You move through the entire house with that momentum. This is the precise 4-hour procedure that Dorothy used to transform everything. The Great Exodus in Hour 1. Everything that shouldn't be in that room should be taken out. First, Dorothy worked on her living room. Dishes, mail, laundry, tools, and literature from other rooms were removed. I couldn't believe how much didn't belong there, she stated. Hour 2. Sorting the truth. What's left is separated into 3 piles. Things you love, things you use, and things you lose. Love is when something makes you happy or improves your life right now. Use it indicates that you have used it within the last 12 months. The rest of it loses it. Dorothy had no mercy. She went from 47 beautiful pillows to 8. Hour 3. Thoroughly clean and make arrangements produced. After cleaning places that hadn't been touched in years, Dorothy carefully placed her keepers. I forgot my coffee table was actually beautiful wood, she chuckled. Hour 4. The lap of victory. Take a break and enjoy yourself. Dorothy sat with a cup of tea in her remodeled living room, something she had previously been unable to do due to her chair being covered in papers. The crucial realization? At the start, your vitality and decision-making abilities are at their peak. Before you see results, the gradual method drains your emotional reserves. In a single Saturday afternoon, Dorothy's living room transformed from a messy mess to a tranquil haven. She contacted her daughter that night and said, "Come see what Mom accomplished today." Her daughter broke down in tears. It had been 2 years since she last saw the furniture in the living room. What Dorothy refers to as proof of concept, unquestionable proof that change is possible, is produced by the lightning bolt. The paralysis that keeps you stuck is broken by it. Have you ever lost steam after a gradual organizing effort? If you've been there, leave a yes comment. The majority of us have attempted and failed to use the gradual method. Prohibited rule #3. When Dorothy violated the 3rd banned rule, never include family in decision-making, it fundamentally altered her family's future. The majority of decluttering specialists advise against this. Family, they say, slows you down, causes drama, and makes decisions more difficult. Dorothy, however, found the opposite to be true. I was sneaking around my own house, said Dorothy, hiding donation bags in my car trunk because I was afraid my kids would object to everything I wanted to release. Does that sound familiar? Many elderly people turn into hidden decluttering ninjas in order to prevent family disputes. But Dorothy was becoming tired of this concealment, and it was making things worse. Although they felt excluded, her adult children realized something was going on. When Dorothy tried a bold strategy, total transparency using what she refers to as Heritage Hour method, everything changed. Dorothy held a family memory meeting and invited her 3 grown children to attend. I need to downsize to stay in this house, she said candidly. despite her fear that they might want to halt her clearing efforts. I need your assistance in deciding what is most important to our family's history. The Heritage Hour operates as follows. First phase, the narrative share. Dorothy displayed objects she was thinking of releasing and explained the history of each one. Boxes of family photos, her mother's jewelry collection, Frank's war medals, and her grandmother's china set. Her kids heard the memories rather than just seeing them. Phase 2. The decision made by the family. Every youngster was allowed to choose objects that have special value for them, but they were required to promise to take them home right away. At Mom's house, there is no maybe someday storage. Instead of keeping the china set in a cabinet, Sarah pledged to utilize it for holiday dinners. Phase 3. Documentation of heritage. They took pictures of objects and documented Dorothy's stories about them before anything left the house. To leave a digital legacy for future grandkids, Michael recorded Dorothy describing each item of jewelry on his phone. The change was amazing. What Dorothy thought would be a conflict turned into a moment of camaraderie. Mom, I never knew the story behind Grandpa's watch, her son stated. It now holds significance for me. Her child stated, I thought you were trying to erase Dad's memory, but now I see you're preserving what matters most. The china set turned into the ideal illustration. Dorothy's wedding china, too valuable for regular use to gift, remained undisturbed in the dining room cupboard for 2 decades. Sarah mentioned during the Heritage Hour that she had always admired it but thought Dorothy would always have it. Take it and use it, Dorothy insisted. China that sits in a cabinet serves no one. Using Grandma Dorothy's china, Sarah now prepares monthly family meals, fostering new memories with treasured items. The biggest surprise, though, Dorothy's children were her staunchest advocates for decluttering. They recognized her objectives and began assisting her in finding objects that would be more suited for other households. Frank's tools were taken to his garage by Michael. Zara became a follower of the china tradition. For her quilting interest, Emma, Dorothy's youngest daughter, received her sewing supplies. Because Dorothy understood that important artifacts would remain in the family, the Heritage Hour took away her guilt about releasing objects. Future disputes were also avoided. The question, why did you get rid of Dad's things without asking us, would never be asked again. After 6 months, Dorothy's home had changed, her family ties had improved, and everyone saw that decluttering was about honoring the past while creating room for the future, not about forgetting it. In her own words, my kids went from being obstacles to being my biggest cheerleaders, Dorothy. At last, they saw that preserving everything would not be a tribute to their father. Utilizing and appreciating unique things was. In order to prevent family strife, have you been secretly decluttering? Leave a comment below. Do your adult children contribute to the problem or to its solution? Together, let's manage these family dynamics. Dorothy's life changed drastically 30 days after she broke those 3 banned laws. Allow me to show you the amazing outcomes that will motivate you to get started right now. The story told by the numbers is remarkable. Dorothy has no regrets about reducing her possessions by 65%. Along with family members, she found homes for 15 boxes of sentimental objects, donated 23 bags of clothing, and cleaned 6 entire rooms. You see, the true change was about taking back her life, not about material possessions. Safety much enhanced. Dorothy no longer had to navigate obstacle courses to move across each room. Dorothy hosted Thanksgiving dinner for the first time in 3 years. As she said, I have a dining room table again. There was a significant emotional shift. Dorothy began painting with watercolors in Frank's old workshop, which is now her brilliant art studio. She came to the realization, I'm creating instead of just preserving, Her bond with her kids grew stronger than ever before. Zara's inherited dinnerware was used for weekly family dinners again. Dorothy shared, "My house feels like a home again, not a museum," while crying joyfully. The most potent instance, according to Dorothy's neighbor, "You seem lighter, more like your old self." Dorothy responded, "I finally have room to breathe, room to live, room to be me again." Dorothy demonstrated how violating the rules can set you free, going from feeling overwhelmed and alone to confident and connected. Her metamorphosis demonstrates what happens when you quit taking advice that doesn't apply to your situation. It's never too late to take back your life and your space, as Dorothy's experience demonstrates. Instead of holding you back in your previous chapter, your home should help you in your future one. If you are motivated by these forbidden rules, hit the like button and forward this to someone who is prepared to declutter. For more senior-focused, practical solutions, subscribe to our channel.